Okay, so AEW, it starts off with a very long match between Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal. Bro, Jay Lethal's work is really good.
Mhm.
It was very self. How old is he now? Is he like 40?
Is he that old?
Yeah, man, because he started when he was like 16. So let me see.
He doesn't look it.
So this was like I guess they have some silly gimmick
Nice,
work
30,
here.
37.
If
Wow.
Sanjay Dutt gets in, if like any of the guys from the with Sanjay and Jarrett and these guys, if they get physically involved, they're fired. So they did the thing where the best friends were at ringside behind Jarrett, Sanjay, and the Satnam Singh guy, and they were like throwing popcorn at him and trying to egg him on and stuff and all that, and like so the Matt Danhausen's out there. They tried the referee comes down to ringside. And there's commotion going on, and Sanjay's trying to tell everybody, "Don't get involved. No physical contact. I'm going to get fired." So the referee's like right there, and then Jarrett, making the referee look like a complete imbecile, like takes the guitar like right next to the referee and hands it to tries to hand it to what's his name, Lethal, but Danhausen steals it, does some thing where he's pretending he's doing a spell, and it leads into an exchange in the ring where Cassie hits the Superman punch and gets the win. So after the match, Beretta and Taylor checked on Cassidy, and Singh grabbed them by the throat. But Dutt talked, and this was kind of weird too, because this was just. But when you got green guys, like Satnam Singh, like came in the ring and was like literally like almost right behind these guys, and they had to act like they couldn't see him, and they could obviously see he was there, right? And so basically, Cassidy then gives the light leg kicks to Dutt. He comes in the ring, and then they pull him away, and it was all. I don't know. I thought all the noise around the match was kind of silly, in my opinion. What did you think?
Bro, I just thought that, first of all, I like the fact that the most important championship in the promotion was put up, the All Atlantic. Nothing.
Right.
You think they should make like a Great Lakes belt?
Yeah, right.
But anyways, the Satnam Singh, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay, they're all barred from ringside. Danhausen. Bro, you won't believe this. I was looking at the Pro Wrestling Tees thing the other day, and the number one selling shirt was Danhausen. And I didn't used to like him because I didn't get him, but he's kind of an acquired taste, and I find him funny now. He's terrible in the ring, though. But, I'm okay with comedy. This was okay. It wasn't bad comedy. And finally, the well-dressed totem pole did something besides the wooden sachet, great word for Latino. But he didn't do anything besides Guzzo the best friends, And I also feel that if Jeff is going to bring a guitar and pass it off, don't blue ball us. Get the pop, and if somebody hit Jeff with the guitar, or Jeff hit somebody with the guitar, you know? I just think that between and Jeff, they could have come up with something better, but this was fine.
Yeah. So next
Good match, though.
So next is the Young Bucks against the Top Flight guys, and this was your typical, let me tell you the problem, like on this show specifically, bro. Nobody really sells a lot of stuff. Like they do the sell where they act like they're staggered and they fall, but nobody remember how like on WWE like Raw when Dom was selling his ankle,
right?
Bro, like everybody does all these devastating moves in these matches and these double team moves, and there's a lot of somersaults match. That's a new thing now. Like the guys are in the ring and they do somersaults for some ungodly reason, but they don't really sell this stuff. Like the devastating moves. Nobody ever looks like
I
they're
think
selling
Moxley
like they're,
sells. I think MJF sells.
Okay, but let me make a point. Like when they do matches like this, nobody sells like this.
But it is the minority. You're correct about that.
Right. They don't really sell these moves like they hurt.
Right.
They just sell them like they're just down and out.
And you can't get people to get invested if they're not suffering with you. It's what they don't understand, and it makes the match way easier.
Yep, exactly.
And you don't have to do so much to get over either because you're selling.
Right.
People are waiting for a comeback. But they don't understand that they're just waiting for the next move so they can get a pop and another pop and another pop, which people forget.
Right. Absolutely. So, but everybody thinks these Top Flight guys are great. They need work on their details. Like I said, they don't show any personality out there at all. No. And the Young Bucks do.
Right.
Like the Young Bucks know how to stop and work the crowd and do the. But
the
these
Young
guys
Bucks are
don't,
veterans. These guys are
Right.
still young. They'll grow into it. I thought that this would be very good, and it was very creative spots. I love the.
Oh, and by the way, the Acclaim went over. They're not the Acclaim. The Top Flight went over. So.
Yeah, and I like the Top Flight when he did that springboard moonsault powerbomb thing on Matt. That was really good. And I also, the Young Bucks, who I always call them my young pretties, aka Cracker Barrel boys. They did some creative moves too. This was a good match, not just high flying. The Young Bucks slowed it down when they needed to, so it wasn't a spot fest. Nice rub for Top Flight, who I can see as players in the future. And to me, this is how you build them and give them credibility, because I'm not invested in Action Andretti. Bro, and I can't believe that out of all the great talent, young talent that there is in the wrestling world, they picked him. Now they got to kind of stick to him. But to me, that guy is not a star whatsoever. And I hope that they have learned that neither Utah nor Daniel Garcia at this juncture in their careers are not main eventers, because they weren't in the main event or really on the show, except for that promo that Daniel Garcia was in where Sammy's hugging him for I don't know what reason.
Let's wait till we get to that.
Yeah, I like this match, though.
I did not like it.
Can I pop in real quick with something?
Good.
Did you see that there was a lot of complaints on Twitter and whatnot that AEW didn't do a big tribute to Jay Briscoe?
Yeah, but I think the network didn't want to or something, or I think they're going to do it on Rampage or something.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys knew that. Maybe Disco didn't. Warner Media, according to Meltzer, forbid AEW from doing that, so they're doing it on Honor Club.
Come on, the guy just passed away.
Yeah,
how many people know about what Jay Briscoe even said?
Right.
He's not a mainstream thing. It wasn't a main. That's so snowflakeish. The guy just passed away. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can't give him a tribute.
Well, so that's the thing. I hear reports. I see people reporting that they said they couldn't have a tribute to him, but I want to hear, okay, based on that report, shouldn't somebody ask Time Warner about that report? Did you, because this is a report, and
well,
I think
obviously Tony would have done it.
Right.
So obviously they did have a say in this. Here's my joke.
Well, I would like to hear the response.
Right. I appreciate that.
Well, remember, they had the Briscoes. They weren't allowed to present them on TNT or TBS because of Jay's past comments. So that does kind of make sense in the timeline where they wouldn't allow them to even use the guys. So of course they're not going to allow them to spotlight.
Yeah, but he just passed away, dude.
No, I agree with you.
A little bit of, Okay,
I'm not saying we all agree with that. That's why I want to hear the response.
Right.
Why Time Warner did that? It's like kind of tasteless if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving the guy a tribute. Bro, the fans aren't watching because Time Warner's presenting the show. They're watching because they were fans of this guy.
Right.
And here's can you check what the ratings were, Joe?
Oh yeah, sure.
They're probably not out yet. I think another 10 minutes.
All right.
They come at 1:00, don't they? Okay, so Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn come out for their entrance, and I like their gimmick here because they're kind of cheesy.
Right.
They always have their shirts off because they look good. They basically cut a promo on the fans. Then the Acclaim's music comes out, and Billy Gunn's come out. But the Gunn's protest is they cut the music. Then there was kind of a thing here where they're talking over each other, and Caster asked if the fans can hear the Guns are hearing freestyle. Then Caster had the mic, and the Guns were using cut and then delivered his rap, which included lines at the expense of the Guns, and the last line was completely censored. I think they said in that. The Acclaimed entered the ring and fought with the Guns, and Billy stepped in and pulled the teams apart. It's kind of so pulled them apart. Then Billy took the mic and said they would sit down next week and hash things out between the teams. And he said he has 2 words: family therapy. And everybody looked out in the ring all confused at each other, which I did too, because I thought that was like a wacky angle. What'd you think of that?
Bro, this was a way to get Acclaim on the show because they're over. Guns get good heat. The shorter one, which I think is Austin, you could see all the tanning solution all over his hand. Bro, go to tanning bed. I've seen MJF do the same. Not a good look on TV. I like Billy personally, but again, to me, he just doesn't fit in here. You know what he kind of reminds me of? Like when you have a party and you put like an old school song that your dad or your uncle grew up to, and then they come out and they do dances from 20 years ago, and you're like, bro, get off the dance floor. Like, he doesn't fit in with these young cats. Like, he's too old for this role. He's in incredible shape, bro. He's humongous. He must really be on TRT or growth or both. I just can't believe that his age, his ligaments aren't beat to death, because I used to train super heavy, and I know he does, and there's no way, even with TRT and growth, that I would be able to maintain that type of size, but he's a freak. And I think at the end when he ended he goes, I got 2 words for you, family therapy. Everybody was like, what? He should have said scissor me and it would have gotten a pop. You know, that family therapy got over like Disco, Cornette, and Russo at an AEW meet and greet. Nothing.
Well, they're probably going to take, I would guess they would take those guys and do therapy skits starting next week, like they did back in the day with Daniel Bryan and Kane. Like that's probably what they're going to put them all in a room with a fake doctor and try to have some fun with it, I guess.
Next, Renee Paquette interviewed Hangman Page backstage. He said Jon Moxley took his word from him when he knocked him out because he promised to take the title from him. Page said he felt like he got his word back when he beat Moxley last week, and Paquette said Moxley told her that Page pushes him to be the better version of himself, and he both despises and cherishes Page. Now, mind you, we all know that Renee and Moxley are married, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So Page recalled Moxley joking about him knocking him out, and Page said he told him he would knock him out, and he did. And he said that Moxley had something else to say to his face he could, and Paquette asked Page where he goes from here. Page said he had some tough conversations he'd like to have and intends to mend fences. Once they wrapped up the interview, Page asked how Moxley was doing. And Paquette said Moxley has been hurting for 10 years and would brush himself off and get back up again. Page considered asking Paquette to tell Moxley something but thought better of it. Bro, the fact that he's interviewed that Renee Paquette, this could have been way more interesting.
Right.
Like they could have been having words with each other. You know, but this is kind of like just like a typical verbiage. Like, you know, I don't know.
Well, I like the fact that she maintained her professionalism when he was talking bad about her husband. So I didn't expect that. So that was good. And I kind of like that they were very vague. Like, you know what? I want you to tell your husband. Better yet, nothing. I have a feeling that they're going to put these guys together.
I'm sure they are. But I would have started this with her being professional. And then Paige kind of making a dig and her becoming a little bit unprofessional.
I would have no problem with that.
Right. You know, so
would have been way more interesting than this. But I did like this because it was kind of like vague. Like, what's he talking about? What's he saying? You know, I got Vince's demand, and so it was pretty good.
So next is Ricky Starks against Jake Hager, and Ricky Starks wins, and he fights off all the Jericho Appreciation Society, and they're like the Keystone Cops out there, and he runs away. And afterwards, after he beat up all the other, he beat up Menard and what's his name, Parker. So after the match, Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Sammy Guevara run to the ring, and Starks escapes and runs into the crowd. So he fought them all off and ran away. So then they go to backstage and
let me just say something about this.
What'd you think of this? Yeah.
I like Hager, and I think that he's a good worker, and they could have really done some good matches with him. And let's say Brian Cage, for example, he's a good worker. You know, mm-hmm. I just think it's very stupid that he keeps wearing that purple hat. I guess since the purple hat has more personality than him, they think it might give him some personality. It kind of makes him look like a goof. Right. And but he was good here. You know, he just doesn't really mean anything because they haven't booked him well. You know, there was a part where Starks tried to slide under the turnbuckle, the bottom turnbuckle, and he like caught his ankle, and I thought he was really hurt. You know, but Stark should be cutting really good promos. I don't understand if he's good on the mic, why isn't he cutting good promos and getting that connection that MJF did? Right. I think they're missing something there.
I'm not going to disagree. I mean, it's kind of obvious how good he is, you know.
Yeah.
So we go to an Adam Cole video package. Fine. Then we go backstage after all this mess has happened, and Jericho, Garcia, and Sammy Guevara are backstage. Jericho said Starks has been insulting, mocking, invading, and beating them. And Jericho said it would end because he had a match made where he will team with Guevara to face Starks in Action Andretti. Then Garcia spoke up and said he has a match with Andretti on Friday and wants to get his hands on Starks by teaming with Jericho. Guevara was all for it and said that Garcia could take his place if he beats Andretti on Friday. And Guevara also presented Garcia with new leather gear and awkwardly hugged him. What did you think of this backstage segment?
Yeah, I just think the main thing the main takeaway I have is like, okay, we made Chris Jericho decided to put this guy over. Now we got to go with him. And much like Damage Control, much like Munchkin, much like Ali Marfat or whatever, Mustafa Ali, much like a lot of people that we see that they shove down your throat, Utah. To me, this guy is not going to get over. Not right now. He isn't.
Right. So Danielson, now we do
the guys that have gotten over Hook, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, those guys, they should continue to push. These guys should be fighting amongst each other and slowly build them up. Utah, Garcia, and Andretti.
So next is Danielson and Brian Danielson against Bandido. Bro, I'll be honest with you. I just fast forwarded this to the finish to see how long it's going to take. I mean, Brian Danielson, bro, the guy wrestles like every week. 17 minutes, 16 minutes. It's like, and this angle where he has to like beat these guys to get the Iron Man match, but we know he's going to win. But it's like, I know he's a good worker, but it's like, dude, you're kind of like, he's not young.
Yeah, bro. I couldn't believe it. He did a moonsault and landed on his feet. I was like, wow, that's gotta put pressure on your knees and ankles and just your whole body.
Bro, he's gonna get hurt again.
Bro, he's like Eddie Guerrero, bro, and like Chris Benoit, those guys that all they know how to do is work, and you can't slow them down. Danielson's one of my favorite, all-time wrestlers of the last 10, 15 years, and Bandido's incredible for his age, and I knew they'd have a great match, or a slapper, a banger, whatever you want to call it, and they did. The fans, the people in Fresno were really behind, and they were really into Bandido because he's got a really cool look. I was not a fan. I don't know if you know that Bandido's gimmick, because Bandido is like a bandit, Mexican bandit. That's why he wears the thing. And so he likes to point his fingers at you like he shot you, right? Mm-hmm. So he did that. Then Brian Danielson did it back to him. Then he did it with his two hands, pew, pew, bang, bang. And then Danielson bit it back to him. I was like, bro, this is stupid. You're having a great match and you're doing this stupidity. But it was a really good match, which I liked. And the best part of this to me was at the end, when MJF came out and didn't do one-liners. He did a really serious promos talking about they're unleashing the monster, and this was very well done because to me it just shows growth in another dimension in his demeanor and persona. MJF is the MVP of this company.
All right, so they show a video package of Soraya.
Even though, my friend, I know you listen to the show every now and then, even though you have to ask permission to come on our show, Dominic didn't have to. Nothing.
Yeah, interesting. So so they do a video package backstage where Soraya, Storm, and Takeshita are backstage, and Storm said the AEW girls don't know what she and Soraya know, and Soraya told Shida to stay in the back, and she came off a little bit heelish there. So I don't know. So this was
because she turns heel later on.
Well, but some simple. Can we do? I'm aware of that, but I'm
well, you can edit that if it upsets this guy that much, Joe.
Okay, Renee. So Renee Paquette tried to interview Brian Cage and Prince Nana in the backstage area, but MJF showed up and had a wad of cash. Says more money than either man had seen their entire lives. And MJF said he didn't care if Cage won or lost as long as he broke Danielson's arm. And Cage said they could probably work that out. For some reason, MJF slapped the shit out of Cage.
No, because he told them that he wanted to have that hate, that energy that he just showed when he tried to choke him out for the match with who's he facing? Danielson.
Yeah, but he grabbed him by the throat and Nana Cage down by talking about the money, and MJF said that was hate. That's the best motivator.
Right.
But I was like, I don't know. This is slap.
I was okay with that. Now, this is a little picky thing, but these are the things that to me make a big difference. He goes, there's more money in this envelope than you ever see in your life. Really? Right. What was in there? $1 million bills? Because, it just looked like one band of cash just from the silhouette. He should have had a bag with him or a suitcase or something. But those are the little things that I like, and maybe it's not a big deal to you.
Okay, so this is weird. So Toni Storm against Willow Nightingale. I want to tell you this. Okay, I'm not a fan of Willow Nightingale's work. Okay, but she shows a lot of personality in the ring and works the crowd really well. Like she has pretty good engagement with the fan.
This is what I will say. She has excellent engagement with the fan, and she's very likable. Okay, mm-hmm. She has a connection, which most people don't. That's the most important thing people don't understand. You can do all the moves, and you can have the best physique and all that, but if you don't have a connection, you're going nowhere. She's got a great connection. She's really improved in the ring. This was actually, I don't like most women's matches because they're not good. Yeah.
So there was one spot here that was just like, well, these girls are green, right? And they did a spot where Storm slapped her in the face. Okay. And it didn't wasn't a very big slap. It wasn't, but like Willow Nightingale would like drop to one knee and like sold it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
I'm like, well, it's like, I'm thinking she was supposed to hit her with something else too.
Yeah.
And she sold it before the girl hit it too, because like
not only did she go down, she went down on her back, like she got clotheslined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a weird. You noticed that too. I think.
Yeah.
So
of course, bro, because those are the things Right. So Kirishita comes out. She comes walking out with the kendo stick and stands in the corner. Then late in the match, Saraya climbs in the apron, distracts Willow, and Storm rolls her up and held the tights. And after the match, Saraya attacked Willow. Then Saraya and Storm put the boots to Willow while Sheeta watched, just stood there watching. The announcer's going, "What is going on? I have no clue what's going on here," basically. And then Ruby Soho ran out and caused Saraya and Storm to duck to ringside. And then Soho checked on Willow while the heels mocked her from the heels now against their heels mocked her from the floor. What did you think of this? This is very weird. You know how they like the hot shot. You know, I don't know if they were hot shotting here and they're going to explain it later in a promo or a vignette, but
they're going to have to. You
know, you bring Saraya back. You know, she's like, "Oh, you know, I've suffered a lot and I'm back, and you know, this is I'm the top cheer," or whatever the she said. And you know, and all of a sudden she turns heel. I don't mind it for Storm, because Storm means absolutely nothing except she looks very hot and she's a good worker, but she has zero connection with the fans. And Saraya, to me, who I like a lot, and I always liked in WWE, already seems stale to me. So I'm okay with them turning heel. I wonder if they're going to turn Britt, who they treat like a baby face anyways, and Jamie Hayter face, if that's where they're going. But like I said, I like this match. You know, Storm's a good worker, and Willow has really improved. So this was way better than most women's matches, which I don't like.
So now, hang on, I lost my page here. Hang on. So next was so they have a Stokely Hathaway video with Ethan Page, and asked him how he felt after last week's match with Bryan Danielson. Oh no, excuse me. Page and okay, there's a video with Page and Stokely Hathaway talking about Page's match with Perry. He's wrestling Jungle Jack, and Page said he would get payback for Perry tapping out Lee Moriarty. That was the gist of the interview. And at the end, Stokely Hathaway said, "Yeah." Did you see that? I
didn't see this. No. How was it?
Horrible.
All right.
It's too short. Means nothing.
When they're that short, it means nothing. Rampage, doesn't resonate.
Promoting a Rampage match. So then they interviewed Takeshita. Okay, he was interviewed by Renee Paquette, asked him how he felt after last week's match with Bryan Danielson. And Takeshita, in broken English, said he doesn't trust MJF. Then he spoke in Japanese, and Panay asked him what that meant, and Takeshita said MJF isn't.
Right.
So,
I don't this is what I don't understand. Why didn't you last week, because you knew since last week he was coming, you put stuff on Kushida online, and then at the beginning of the show do a good vignette of him in New Japan and some of his great matches and put him over and explain who he is, because your fan base knows who he is. That's good. You already cater enough to them. How about people that don't know who he is? You know,
he was the main event. Kushida
do they not count? And that's a big mistake that they make over and over and over. Bro, you got to take the casual fans into account also. They count.
I fast forwarded this because I know I don't care to watch an open challenge for the TNT Championship main event against a guy. But I'm going to read these names because I just skipped this whole thing. Kevin Knight and the DKC walked out with Kushida. Who is that?
Right. Yeah. Who?
Kevin Knight.
This is your main event. I've never heard that name Kevin Knight before, and I've never heard the DKC.
Right.
And like this is their main event on this show. So of course, who did take Darby wins in 13 minutes and 40 seconds because they get for good matches in this company. I guess it was a good match, so whatever.
Yeah, I watched it. You know, I did watch it, and I thought it was a good match. It was a good match. He really made Darby look good, and Darby's a really underrated worker. He's not just a skateboard and stunts. I would have featured Bandido and Bryan Danielson in the main event, but this was okay with me. You know, as Darby always delivers, and Kushida did too. And you know, they're pushing Darby, and he's delivering. You know.
All right, that's been our AEW review. I didn't think this was good. I mean, this show's. I mean, all the guys that they could have put on the show, and you got Kushida, you get Bandido in a match. Everybody knew he was going to lose and stuff. I don't know. It's just like whatever.
Well, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're in a match who that you know the guy's going to lose if he puts on a great match, and he did. Not because he works for AAA. Bandido is a type of guy, that he reminds me a lot of like Pentagon and Phoenix and like the Young Bucks and like guys that they always go in there and always have a good match, win or lose. They're really out there to entertain the fans. So I knew that Danielson and him would put together a really good match, and they did. I thought it was a really good match. I really liked the Young Bucks and the Top Flight. I liked the Lethal and what's this guy? Orange Cassidy. I did like those matches. I'm still not a fan of what they're doing with the women, and I wasn't a fan of the ending of the thing with Sanjay and Sitnam and Jeff. I did that could have been hotter.
Yeah. So that's been our review.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.